everyone. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about why I became or am leaning towards becoming a minimalist, or at least living a more minimalist inspired lifestyle. And I'm also going to be doing some light tapping on this new, have it upside down, on this new Chrome book that I got. Some of you guys may have noticed that I had kind of a lapse where I hadn't really posted a lot of videos, and there were a couple of reasons, but one of the, or probably the biggest reason why I hadn't posted videos was because my laptop was having technical issues, so I got a new one. Technically, I don't know if this is considered a laptop or not, but it works for what I need it for right now. And the front has kind of a texture to it, which I like. So I'm going to try to spare you guys a lot of the details and sort of summarize my reasoning, or at least some of my reasoning, as to why I'm becoming more minimal. I'll also be talking about what minimalism means to me, because I think that it can mean different things to different people, so I'll explain my perspective on it here in a little bit. So, roughly about 2 years ago, I was praying, and as a Christian, I pray every day. At least now I pray every day, and prayer basically is a conversation between you and God. And so sometimes my prayer would consist of me saying, Lord, really? Like if I'm frustrated about something, or oh, thank you, God, like if something good happens, or if I have a problem or need help with something, I might be like, Lord, help me, I need help with this. So I was praying, and I felt as if the Lord spoke to me and said, not in a mean voice, and not like a bossy, rude voice or anything like that, but in a stern voice. And I almost hesitate to use the word stern, because a lot of times stern can have a negative connotation, and the way he spoke to me didn't make me feel bad. It didn't make me feel condemned or anything like that, but I felt like the Lord said to me in a caring and serious voice to get my house, my home, I live in an apartment, to get my house in order. I could talk about some different events leading up to that, but at first I thought, Lord, of course I want to get my house in order, but I have other issues in my life that feel more of a top priority than getting my home in order. I wasn't happy where I was in life. I was having financial difficulty, so on and so forth, and I could go on and on, but I thought, Lord, yeah, I can get my house in order when, I get this accomplished, or when I get this done, then I'll get my house in order. How is me getting my house in order going to help any of these things? But I heard the Lord say, get your house in order. And so something sort of sparked in me where I wanted to get my house in order. I've always wanted to get my house in order, but after that I wanted to get my house in order, but I didn't really know how, because I had grown up, and even in my current life I had so much clutter and so many things that didn't have categories that it was hard to even organize anything, and everything was so nothing was in order. And some of you guys may have watched the show Hoarders, Buried Alive, and I would not say that my house was as extreme as some of those cases, but it was sort of like a mini or a minor version of some of those houses. And I don't want that to sound gross, but I wasn't, and I'm still not like a dirty person. Everything was clean, but I had so much clutter. And I know at one time I had so much clutter that it was almost like I had to clear a pathway to walk. And now, okay, don't get too freaked out, because maybe it wasn't as extreme as it might sound, but my point is I had so much clutter that I just felt overwhelmed, and when I had tried to get organized, I never knew where to start, and it felt so overwhelming, and it got really discouraging. I stumbled upon the book, or in my case, the audiobook by Marie Kondo, and the book was called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And when I first heard of that book, I thought, yeah, that sounds great, but I'm so overwhelmed with untidiness that it almost made me feel guilty or hopeless or helpless when it came to tidying up. But I listened to the audiobook, and Marie Kondo really broke down some techniques to make tidying up or getting your home in order a lot easier and kind of fun, actually. So I could talk more about that, but basically the knowledge in that book helped me to acquire the wisdom to determine what I should keep and what I should discard. And when I say discard, sometimes that means throw away. Sometimes that means donate or give to charity or a thrift store. Sometimes it might mean sell something if it is pretty valuable and you want to sell it, but to let it go, at least in one way or another. And when you let something go, when you throw something away, a lot of people have a lot of guilt. They think, well, this thing has served me in my life, and I don't want to be disrespectful to this thing even though it's an inanimate object, and we all know that, but sometimes a lot of people experience a lot of guilt when they throw something away or get rid of something. But in my opinion, when thinking about being respectful or disrespectful to your belongings, when you discard them, you're to have an attitude of thankfulness for what you've learned from having that thing in your life and from what it's taught you, whether it was a article of clothing that you bought or ones that you didn't like. You think, well, that was a waste. Well, it taught you what you did not like. And in my opinion, the lesson of learning what we don't want is very undervalued, because contrast in knowing what we don't want helps to show us what we do want in our lives. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm going to spare you guys a lot of the intricate details as to my own personal process of how I got rid of things and so on and so forth, but basically, to summarize, I went through this a few times, and I had gone through different cycles or turns on getting rid of things. Like, I initially cleared out my clothes and decided what clothes I wanted to keep and what clothes I wanted to get rid of. And then months later, or a year later, and a few times since, I've gone through and I've done that again, kind of edited my wardrobe. And each time I get better and better at being able to determine what I want to let go of, what is not serving me, and what I want to keep. And one of my other main reasons for wanting to learn how to declutter and not live with so much clutter was because I found myself that when I would buy something that I really liked, like say I bought a new article of clothing or something like that and I really liked it, I almost felt like when I had too much clutter, that article of clothing lost its value in my collection because it was surrounded by clutter and white noise, and the value of it was sort of not being able to be fully appreciated. So getting rid of a lot of junk, or I shouldn't say junk, that doesn't sound respectful, but getting rid of a lot of clutter helped me to realize the value of the things that I do own. And there are some things that I own that I plan on owning forever and ever and keeping all my life. And you can't keep every single thing that comes into your life forever and ever, or else that's when you run into kind of a hoarding situation, and that's not going to make you happy. And there's not necessarily a set number of things that I think someone should keep or not keep. I think it's kind of varies person by person. But I appreciate so much more the things that I do own that do have value, because not having the clutter allows me to appreciate those things even more fully. And I could go on about that, but another thing that I want to talk about before this video gets too long is that I've sort of always had this desire in me ever since I was a young kid even, and especially now with the world being in the state that it is, where there's just a lot of sobering events, let's say, that are occurring in the world today. And I wouldn't say that I'm not fearful about the future. I'm not in worry or anxiety over it. The Bible says, be anxious for nothing. I'm confident that the Lord will provide for me no matter what. But there is sort of a sobering effect when you look at things that are occurring from a world perspective and from a biblical prophecy perspective. And I want to be ready to where if I ever had to pick up and move on a very short-term notice, that it would be a very simple process. On a lighter example, a few months ago, the apartment where I am right now, where I live right now, where I'm filming this, there was a water main break, and it was late at night. It was, I think, maybe even after midnight or kind of close to approaching midnight, and there was a water main break to where I didn't have any running water. And now that I look back on it, if I just fell asleep and didn't even notice it, the water probably would have been back on by the next morning. But anyway, since there was a water main break and I didn't have any running water, I fortunately was able to stay with some family for that night, so that I could have running water. And I remember, because I had already gone through this decluttering process and the process of getting my home in order, even though I didn't obviously bring every single one of my possessions over to my family's house to stay the night, there were a few things that I wanted to bring. And I remember I felt so happy in a sense, because instead of leaving my home in a state of disarray, I felt sort of organized. I felt like it was easy for me to get the things that I needed for the night. And I felt that if I had to pack up and go and stay somewhere else for longer, it would be easy, because I had decluttered and I had gotten rid of so many things. And to me, getting my house in order is not just about organization. Organization is a part of it, but it's also about decluttering. And I know I say that word a lot, but it holds a priority in my mind when it comes to getting my home in order. Because when you have less things, they almost just organize themselves automatically at times. And so what minimalism means to me, what I am describing when I talk about the way that I want to live, as far as having my home in order and my possessions and whatnot, is everything that is around me, I want it to have a purpose, even if that purpose is just because I like it and I like looking at it and it makes me happy to look at. In Marie Kondo's book, she coins the phrase spark joy. Does this item spark joy? Like, I just bought this new Chromebook that I'm showing you guys, and I love it. It sparks joy. I really appreciate this item. That makes me smile when I think about it. And so I want to have everything in my life spark joy and have a purpose. And where if I ever had to get up and go somewhere else on a moment's notice, I don't want to feel like I'm leaving behind or taking a mess with me. I just want it to be very simple. what I'm going to do more today. After I'm done filming this video, is I'm going to organize more and declutter more. I've done a lot, and it's been a process, but I feel like I'm maybe about 80 or 90% done, and I really want to be at the finishing stage with every single thing that I own. Like I said, I'm really proud of where I've came, but I want to finish. Alright, well, I could talk more about this, and there's a few other things that I kind of want to say, but I'll go ahead and end this video here, and then maybe we can talk more in a future video. So, bye everyone, and God bless.